What's up, humans? Welcome to a new episode of Shots from the Winchester podcast, brought to you by GACer Consulting. I'm your host, Al Green, and today we're going to have a conversation about mentorship and what mentorship actually means. And we're going to have our co-host today, Seth Steinmetz.
Perfect.
I got it right?
Perfect. Yeah. Like 1 out of 10.
Yeah, there we go. So we're going to have a conversation about mentorship, and you're a mentor currently. Where do you do your mentorships at?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the director of Ground Up Cafe or Ground Up Initiative. Mm-hmm. We're based out of Palmyra, Pennsylvania. Wow. It's a mentorship program that we created back in, the real story journey started in 2016. We officially hit ground running in 2022. Mm-hmm. And we're located right outside of Palmyra High School, if you guys are familiar with that area. And right now we are a small staff.
Nice.
But our goal is to reach the Lebanon County area. Mm-hmm. Not many people know the statistics, but there's about 33,000 young adults and kids between the ages of 15 to 26 that live in that area.
Wow.
And only about 1,200 of them are actually attached to a program or any type of mentorship that they would qualify, or they said that they had a mentor.
Wow.
So that's our job, is to not only give them kind of the ethics and roadblocks of our lessons learned, mm-hmm. But also kind of guiding them on their next steps of their future. And it's got like good stories that came out of it, or how we came to it. Pandemic definitely, it was like a detriment to some people. It was an opportunity for us, because there's a lot of lost souls out there. They're mm-hmm. just trying to ask, well, what am I supposed to do? How do I get any kind of experience? So it was a good opportunity for us to jump in.
Wow, that's awesome, man. And thank you for that service, obviously, too, because that's something very deserved, very well needed, especially in the youth population.
Yeah.
And now I'd be remiss not to mention this, but you work here at Greencastle. You're a GACer. We call GACers our Greencastle Associates Consultant.
Yeah.
So if you work at Greencastle, we just call you a GACer. So this is the GACer episode, so we're getting to meet you today.
Awesome.
This is pretty cool. So you're a part of the BI team here, the business intelligence team, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yes. Tell me just quickly before we jump into our conversation about mentorship, what it's like to be a BI consultant here at Greencastle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a secret. No, it's exciting. I mean, if we're looking for like quick buzzwords on it, it's exciting. It's creative. It's ever changing, ever evolving. Although with the other aspects of Greencastle with project management, things typically stay the same as far as the methodology behind it. Whereas with business intelligence, I guarantee you what we were using yesterday has probably had an update or changed today as far as the software technology, or even the just the helpful tints or tools that we have for the project. So exciting is a great word to it. Mm-hmm. It gives us an opportunity to kind of look at the analytical portion of it. So we live and breathe by the data that we have. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to kind of transform and be creative of not so much guessing what the client wants, but foreseeing or forecasting what the client may not necessarily want, but what they're going to need. And then we try to meet that need with their wants. It's a real awesome process to where we get to do the framework. We get to pick out the broad stroke colors. Mm-hmm. And once we really have a good image of it, we get to really drill down and become the artists of the data is what I like to use.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds fulfilling too.
It is. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely some challenges. And I think anyone who tells you that working with data, that it's a passion and that there's no issues with or frustrations, they're lying. I can tell you that right now. But it definitely is the reward at the end. And it's a good positive thing that we actually use it in the mentorship program too, is failure isn't a bad thing. It just means that you've learned the right way to not do something.
Exactly. So we talk a lot about failure on the show because we have a lot of leaders that come on to the show and talk about that, and talk about how they grew from that, because you can't learn from winning. You get results from winning, mm-hmm. but you really get to know and learn your character through failure in
Yep.
a lot of cases. It builds character too. Is how do you come back from failure? You know, so what motivated you to become a mentor?
One was a lack of mentorship abilities that I saw just right now, like day-to-day operations. Before we started the program, I did a lot of things with youth groups. I did a lot of adolescent just mentorship, just naturally taking on the roles. A lot of times parents or other young adults were asking to like, hey, can you talk to my son? Can you talk to his friends? Can you talk to my brother? And it was a humbling experience because I'm like, well, what do I have to offer? I'm just Seth Steinmetz. But in that, it allowed me to kind of grow and understand that there's a significant need for mentorship, just in general.
Yeah.
So my point that I tried to emphasize on of mentorship is that we need to help the next generation understand like things like failure. And they didn't understand it. It was a very reactive type of environment. Everyone, even programs today, they're reactive. And what I really studied on and focused on is I don't want to be reactive anymore. I want to be proactive. So how are we going to be proactive and kind of switch the model that our generation, even the generation behind us, we're used to of like, oh, everything's reactive and we just react and change. Well, why not plan for change, be proactive in it, and then be well equipped for what comes in the future throughout the process of our growth?
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's important, especially. So would you consider mentorship that you're learning at the same time as you're mentoring? I'm sure that there's some aspects of what the kids that you're working with are that they're teaching you things as well.
Oh man, I learn from them every day.
Yeah.
Specifically language, like their terminology, their beliefs, their views. All is it's obviously different per individual. But it helps me continuously, like it's a continuous process. Learning is continuous.
Yeah.
And I think Reagan even talked about that. Gone is the days of being able to know a skill and just live on it.
Yeah.
We're at an age of just continuous learning. And not only do I need to take on that, but that's what I tell the people that I mentor too. Like, this is a continuous process. You're feeding me as much as I'm feeding you.
Yes.
I may be more of a master of reading the book or understanding the ones and twos or the different steps in the process than you, but there's still stuff for me to learn because I can still critique myself. I can still learn from what I said to you for the next time.
And I think that's the difference between mentorship and like what would be considered coaching or leadership, because there's a transactional relationship happening there as a mentor, because you're giving something, you're sharing your time with someone, and maybe it's because you recognize something in them that you're like, wow, I could, you know, I could nurture that or something. But I feel like there needs to be a transactional relationship or some kind of relationship. It's not like you can just you don't walk up to somebody and say, hey, can you be my mentor? Because it's just like, you can't say, hey, can you be my friend? It's like, it doesn't work that way. You have to build to that. And build something that the two of you, I think, that has a mutual respect for.
Right. And one of the things that we do, I want to make sure they have skin in the game. The other mentors that we have, one of the things that we, from our own training and when we talk about people coming in through our program, we talk about make sure that they have skin in the game, that they're invested on their own personally. And so what does that look like to us? We focus on, we call it P squared, or passion and purpose. And what the result is, what we've, not just through our views, but also a lot of studies that are done through pediatric journals, through community outreach, surveys, a lot of empirical data is out there if you really want to deep dive into it. I've spent countless hours, 2:00 in the morning, reading journals from Europe that no one has ever read before but me, and the 12 other people that are like peer reviewed it.
Yeah.
But what the studies show is that when we actually connect individuals, and this isn't just for young adults, it's throughout the life cycle of anybody. When you connect someone with their gifts or with their passions, and you have them recognize, or you use that to leverage them into their growth, into the next steps. Now they have a little bit of a skin in the game, because it's not, I'm not telling you to do something. You've invested yourself into this growth and this transformation, and you want to see it succeed. A lot of stuff that we do when we mentor is that while we're still guiding, we use facilitation. So I can tell you how to do it, or I can tell you to do something that's great. I mean, even in the military, I can tell you an order, and more than likely they're going to follow it most of the time. Or I can tell you to do it, but why are we doing it? And now you have some investment into it. And once we have these individuals that show investment and they understand the reasoning, there's a lot more transformation, a lot more leverage that we have for themselves to grow off of each step of the way.
Wow, that's really cool. And I think that's the difference between what a coach does and then what a mentor does. I believe maybe, and you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but a coach is somebody that is like more embedded in your total like changing habits and maintain or evolving a person mentally in that respect. And as a mentor, you're more guiding a person towards their purpose.
Yeah, and we are very critical on this on that topic, and I think we spoke about this before off air. But to kind of like highlight some of the, like those high points that we talked about, we have mentors and we have coaches, and we use the same thing at our facility. A mentor can coach, but a coach can't necessarily mentor. And when we look at coaches, they're for a specific point, a specific goal.
Right.
They're the SMEs of what you're asking for. They know how to take you from step 1 to step 8. Let's say, like for example, a weightlifter. A coach knows how to take you from a 135 deadlift to a 425 pound deadlift if that's their job. They're powerlifting coaches. A mentor, while they can still coach, they look at you as from the holistic point of view. They understand they recognize your potential. They recognize whether they can coach you or not coach you, but point you in the right network connection to still help you with your growth. But then they're there for the failures and for the successes, and they help you in the total transformation of it. A coach definitely guides you, but it doesn't recognize your full potential of the long-term approach that you're trying to accomplish.
Wow. And there's also a value in being a mentor and not even knowing it. Because there's you could be someone who might be looking up to you or like observing you in some ways. And so like there's a difference too, because you don't want to get mixed in with like role models. Because like a role model, there's positive and negatives to a role model. A role model could like show you something and then show you something negative, and then you absorb that. I feel like that's different than a mentor. And mentor is like you're reaching out to this person to actually do something or learn something from them in that way.
I heard a great quote, and it's probably because we have the cameras on. I can't remember this NFL this NFL player's name, but he said the whole idea of role models, especially using like pro athletes. He's like, we're not role models; we're just models that are filling a role. So I'm very, very cautious when people are like, "Oh, I look up to my son right now." If you ask him he would say that Sidney Crosby is his role model because he's the best player he's ever seen. And he give me the 15 reasons why, but none of it is around their character. None of it is around their work ethic. And no one really gets to see that. And maybe Sidney Crosby, so if he's listening, or if he listens to this, I'm not harping on you at all, man. But no one sees that. And maybe he wasn't a very good person, like character-wise, and he just has a great gift and he was able to use it. But I'm interested, especially when like talking about sports or even youth sports or young adults, I'm not really interested in the wins and losses of a season. I'm more interested, did you learn from your mistakes? Did you learn how to be resilient in your growth? And is this still something that you're on the path? Because the worst thing, especially for us in our mentorship program, it's exciting when someone recognizes like, hey, I really don't want to do this. And that's awesome. That's a win.
Yeah.
Because then we've helped you find a answer of something that you thought was a great path, and you're like, hey, this actually isn't something I'm into, but maybe you found something else that you wanted to grow from. So that's a long way around the mountain to talk about role models.
No, that's great though. Another thing, there's a misnomer. You don't have to be like old as Gandalf to be a mentor. You could be a kid and be a mentor. Like a kid, absolutely. Like there's kids that are teaching me how to do social media. Like I'm looking up to this now. So there's also that. So can you speak on that briefly? Like
it's some of the best mentorship I could say is actually came from my kids.
Yeah.
And I wish I could live with a child mindset. If you ask anybody that I work with, they probably say like, oh, Seth, you are a child with your antics. That's a call out to John Lavardi. He would say you're just a child. But joking aside, the mentorship, whether they, like you said, whether they know they're mentoring or not, a child's mindset of absolutes and internal faith is like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Not only do they have a great memory when they want to, they won't brush their teeth. They forget that, but they remember what you said 3 weeks ago. But their determination of, I'm going to do something or this will happen, their positivity. Like that's something I feel like as you grow, you kind of gets saturated with how life is and diluted with circumstances of other things that you forget to be all in. So kids, I definitely watch my kids specifically, and also some of the kids or teens or young adults that we mentor. I watch them to kind of renew my faith of the all in.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I never want to see anyone sitting on the fence, either be all in or all out, because that's how we measure our commitment. And let's be committed to either failing or committed to, because that's still success, or committed to our success. Both are wins.
Nice. So I want to do something a little different. We haven't done this before, so I want to try this. So I'm created a game. It's called Meet the GACer Face Off. So I have 4 answers for this one question. Name a reason someone might ride their bike to work. Now there's 4 answers on the board.
It's because of the great weather.
Great weather?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll give it to you. Environment is the...
You know what? I was going to say environment.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's going to say environment. Gosh.
Environment is number 4 on that list. Okay. Well, you have another answer?
Yep. For fuel costs.
Fuel costs?
Yeah, like saving on fuel, saving resources.
Save gas is the 3rd answer. So you like 4th and 3rd. Now you have the 2 answers are on top.
Okay.
So you have 2 answers left. Which do you think? And I'll say the question again for the audience. Name a reason that someone might ride their bike to work.
Okay. Man. So like dialogue behind this, like statistically saying the generations below us, none of them want to have a driver's license. So I'm going to go with they don't know how to drive or no driver's license. That's like 2 answers. So I got to commit. Let's go with they don't have a driver's license.
Don't have a driver's license. Okay. So that's not on there. Specifically.
Yeah.
All right. So that's just 1 X. You get 1 X. You have 2 more chances. Okay. And the top 2 answers are left.
They don't have a car.
No car is the number 1 answer. Good job.
All right.
Now you got 1 last answer, and you still have 2 strikes open, so you're in great shape. All right. So what would be the last answer? This is number 2.
They live close to work.
Ooh, that's a
man.
Ooh, now you only got 1 chance here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got weather.
Yeah. So let's read the question again. Name a reason that someone might ride their bike to work.
We already talked about gas. We already talked about weather.
Gas. We talked about car. Car is number 1. Saving gas is the 3rd answer, and then environment is the 4th answer. Which you got that too. So the 2nd one on that list. Got 1 strike, no pressure. Yeah,
I know. I mean, here I thought I was going to be a master at Family Feud, and I'm struggling. I'm struggle bus right now. Sinking fast. I'm going to go with because there's no parking.
No parking.
Yeah.
And that would be an that's
man. Let's run that again. Rewind it.
So the number 2 answer is exercise.
Oh, come on now. That's just a given. That's a given.
That's a given, you would think, right? So we're going to do more of this. So we'll have a lot more fun with this, and we'll start to like evolve this a bit more.
Yeah.
But Seth, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for giving us a little bit of input on mentorship and the value that you've put towards that as well. Do you have anything left you want to talk to the audience about?
No, I mean, I think we've covered a lot of it. I do want to say though, like a part of when you talk about who are my mentors or how did I do to learn?
Yeah.
Greencastle is a treasure chest of mentorship and a treasure chest of coaching. Like the organization, and we could say this is just like Griffin just to like put something out there for us. And that's not true. I can honestly say that I've been here for just over a year, and a lot of different capacities, but I don't think there's a day that I don't come in that I don't leave with more information or more knowledge or just a better attitude than when I came in.
Nice.
So I think that's a testament to kind of like what you're doing here. So thank you, because thank you, and just thank to GACer, because we're consistently learning. That the continuous learning is almost, I would say, one of those unspoken principles here. Because there's no competition, but we're always just trying to make the next person just as good or better than we were.
That is absolutely true. And just as a testimony to that, and a great testimony, thank you so much for that and for your words there, is that we have Stronghold. Stronghold is an education component that we have here at GACer that's evolving right now, which is also a great piece. So thank you for that so much for talking about that. Yes, education is paramount. Especially if you stop learning, you're just dead inside.
Yeah.
So, so keep learning, always evolve, always look for someone that can guide you or motivate you in some way. That's positive, because that's going to elevate you. That's going to build more character for you as you evolve in whatever you're doing, mentorship, leadership, coaching, whatever it is. Stick to it and just be that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be present.
Sure.
Yeah.
Be present.
Yeah. Remember, fail forward also.
Fail forward. For
that's
sure.
What we always say. That's what we always tell our guys. Fail forward.
Well, if you liked what you saw today, make sure you leave a like. Leave some comments too. Get into the conversation with us. Talk about mentorship. Talk about leadership. Whatever. Just leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Shots from Winchester is on every Tuesday at 11 a.m. See you in the next episode, y'all.
See you guys. This is great, man. This is awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this content to be useful and entertaining, do us a favor and hit the like button. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. You can stay up to date with new episodes that we post every week. See you in the next episode.